It's modern segregation, this is setting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around you. Anyone who knows me knows my feet don't fit in clown shoes.
What's up, you beautiful bastards? If you turn on your TVs, if you turn on YouTube, watch any kind of news outlet channel, you've seen the craziness that's going on in the world.
When there was segregation, I hoped there would be fairness one day or someday. When there was bigotry and prejudice, I hoped that there would be tolerance and understanding someday.
There's a man, one round, take a name. And he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same.
I don't care about the Constitution.
Hell with the Supreme Court.
Good luck, baby.
Second Amendment. Second Amendment's not absolute.
You're seeing an explosive high rise of gun violence. In my humble opinion, it's just a mental health crisis because guns don't kill people, people kill people. But I digress. You didn't come here to hear about some political BS. You've seen the title, and you've seen the thumbnail. So today we're gonna be talking about start to finish. Either you're a gun owner now, or you're looking at getting a gun, or maybe you own a gun and you don't carry it, you just keeping it for self-protection at the house. Watch this video. This video is gonna be very informative. We're gonna go over proper firearm safety, picking out a firearm, holsters, proper storage, cleaning, and then also at the range. So this is gonna be a little bit longer video, but it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be full of nothing but nuggets. But if all this sounds good to you and you're new to my channel, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Ron. I'm a combat weapons expert for the US government. I work directly with the Army. I'm a GS-11. Been doing it for about 16 years now. In that whole 16-year span, I have multiple different experiences, whether it's private sector overseas in Afghanistan or even civilian, just being here stateside. So I have different plethoras of training, whether it be working for Blackwater back in 2011 or just regular civilian training that I've taken courses over the years. So I'm not anybody like T-Rex Arms. I'm not Mike from Grand Thumb. I'm not gonna be in full kit. Unless you want me to be. No, we're not doing any of that. Regular civilian attire for this video. First thing, let's talk about the pistol you may have or the pistol you're thinking about getting. Now there's going to be 3 categories of pistols that you might be looking into that you're most likely going to carry. All right, first one is your striker fired or your semi-autos, which are like your Glocks. Your hammer fired or double or single actions like this Beretta. Single action is when the hammer's pulled back, you can pull the trigger, hammer falls. Double action is when the hammer's forward, you can still pull the trigger, and it still fires. Double, single. Okay, and last but not least, your big irons, your wheel guns, your revolvers. Now this is Smith & Wesson 686. This is a double and single action gun. Obviously we are loaded, so we're not going to be pulling the trigger. I don't know why there's one missing, disregard. But the reason why a lot of people carry these is that a lot of people are old school. In my humble opinion, I don't want to be held down by only 6 rounds. I know everyone thinks I'm paranoid. You're gonna get comments like this. You're gonna get comments like this. People think that your wee-wee's small, or you're compensating for something, or
You're weak. You'll always be weak. You need a gun because you're weak.
you're paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I'm just prepared. I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Hell yes.
But I digress. So I don't want to be limited to 6 rounds if anything were to happen. Speaking on rounds, let's transition over into ammo. What ammo you might want to look into, what ammo you might want to go to the range with, and also carry. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm just only going to talk about one caliber. It's kind of runs the same for all handguns. You have your FMJs or your full metal jackets, and then you also have your defensive ammo hollow points. So this right here is a 124 grain plus P defensive round. What you're going to want to carry when you carry your pistol. Your FMJs rather, these are the rounds that you're going to want to train with, go to the range with, practice with, stuff like this. I would say inexpensive, extremely expensive. I think a box of 50 of these were like $70. These were extremely expensive, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, I've had a bunch of conversations, even with soldiers on this topic, about pistols. They've asked me certain questions. What pistol do you like? What caliber do you recommend? And I would just like to pick their brain. And a lot of people are fixated on the big power. I want stopping power. I need the 45 ACP. The thing that I see wrong with that is you're only limited to 7 rounds or 1 in the chamber. So you have 7 plus 1. So you have 8 rounds that you're limited to in 45 ACP. Not that this is, I mean, this is still in service since 1911. It's tried and true, but I just don't want to be limited to 7 or 8 rounds. I don't care what your pappy said. I'd rather have 17 rounds of 9mm instead of 7 rounds of 45 ACP. I said it! Or you got weirdos that want to go 40 cal to be right in the middle, you know, those 40 cal guys. 40 cal, for you guys who don't know, this is the RIP ammo for those of you who remember, but since you're new watching this video, this ammo used to be the shit, but a lot of guns do not like it. 40 cal, in my opinion, I mean, it's personally just a personal preference. I'm more fixated on capacity that I have in the gun and getting your shots on target at an effective rate. Because shot placement, in my opinion, is more important than carrying a fucking 50 AE. And this is coming from a guy who used to conceal carry a 50 AE Desert Eagle.
Are you stupid or something?
I mean, granted, you're not going to see me carrying a 38 special around. I'm going to carry a 9mm. That's the base minimum of the caliber that I carry. I mean, I also carry a 10mm when I'm feeling kind of spicy, but that's beyond the point. And I'm sorry to say, we're not talking about pistols with pistol braces, so that's another video, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to talk about the 4 rules of gun safety, but the thing is, 2 has actually 2 in there, so technically it's 5. So I'm gonna call it the 5 rules of gun safety. And to help me illustrate, we're gonna use the Glock 43. All right, and the first rule is always point the muzzle in the safe direction. So let's say, obviously you're not here, you're watching through your phone or the computer, so I'm not really flagging you, but so whenever you get a gun from somebody, you never want to clear it and look directly at them. You know, oh, let me see, oh, and then point it at their junk or their leg or whatever. You always want to point it down at the ground, not near anybody's feet or up towards the ceiling. Granted, if you're not in an apartment, we'll get more into that later. Point it up to the ceiling, make sure it's not flagging anybody, and we'll get into that later. So that's the first rule of gun safety. The second rule kind of ties into 2, and we'll get into that. Never point your gun at anything you don't intend to shoot, just like we talked about flagging. So you hear the word flag. If you don't hear the word flag, it's pointing the muzzle in the direction of somebody or something that you intend to destroy. Even if your finger's off the trigger, accidents do happen. This is something you just don't want to do.
Don't touch it! All right.
Again, this ties into number 2. Treat every gun as it was loaded. So us as responsible gun owners, we like to play make-believe. And the good thing about make-believe is we always make-believe. Even if I'm walking around with a gun like this, no magazine, I always treat it like it's loaded. I never flag anybody, I never do this, never look in the chamber. If I am cleaning it, I have it disassembled. So with that being said, we always pretend. I want you to do the same thing at home. Always pretend like the gun's always loaded. Never muzzle sweep anybody in the house. Never point the gun at a direction that you think somebody is at. And that's another rule too. So let's get into number 3. And that is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Kind of self-explanatory, but I see people all the time when they grab a gun, they clear it. Remember, like I said, pretend like it's always loaded. You don't ever walk around with a gun like this. Even if it's unloaded, you never do that. Always place your finger gently right here. All right, and number 5, always be sure of your target and what's beyond it. Kind of what I talked about in the first or second one when you're clearing like this. If you're in an apartment building, you never want to clear it if you're in an apartment building because you don't know what's beyond that plywood, drywall, wherever you're at. Wherever. You never want to point it in a direction in a wall because you don't know who's on the other side of that wall, a window, who's on the side of the window, if you have blinds or anything like that. So just don't do it. Now that we got the 4 to 5 firearm safety rules out of the way, let's get into the rest of the video. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Let's talk about your very first pistol that you're thinking about getting. Now, what I highly recommend is go to a gun shop, gun store, whatever you have locally, and go around and get a feel for different guns. These guys want to help you. You tell them you're a first-time gun owner. Remember the rules that I taught you, so don't be flagging anybody. But go ahead and feel the guns. And what I mean by feel the guns is when you're trying out different guns in a store, what you want to do is you want to see how it feels in your hand. And what I mean is what you don't want to do is you see how this 43 is down here? It's too small for my hand. So when I do get a good purchase on it, I can control it, but I am not getting a very good grip. It's very loose down here, and that's what you don't want. This could be used for like a boot gun, but this is like a last stand, last resort gun for me. Okay, and then you have guns like the Glock 40, The Glock 40 is extremely nice because it fits perfectly in my hand. Yes, this one has still finger grooves, it's pretty much stock, minus the sights. So basically, you see how everything's flush? I still have a little bit of room between the magazine and the frame. Reloads are super simple, I'm not pinching anything. It's super nice in my hand. This fits my hand extremely nice. So you just want to make sure that you get a good purchase on the gun. And what I mean by purchase is grip. You want to make sure that all your fingers are touching all the surface of the pistol and that it feels good in your hand, because a lot of guns have different angles on them, and this is what I mean. By different angles, I mean like this revolver. You look at this back strap right here, see how it's a big hump compared to the Glock, which obviously is more concaved in. And what that's going to do is when you do push that gun out, your wrist is going to be sitting in a different position. A lot of people like Glocks because of the angle. I'm more of a Glock clone kind of guy, like this Shadow Systems XR920. It's not crazy like a Glock hump and the finger grooves are gone. It's just more of a natural purchase for me. My wrist feels really good when I throw this thing out. Yeah, so just get a feel for it, feel the guns, ask questions, ask lots of questions. I know it can be intimidating that you think these guys are just bros and they're gonna make fun of you. No, they're here to help. And can I just make one suggestion? Please don't ever buy any of these and conceal carry them. Too many times I've seen people carry like this.
Why?
This isn't conceal, it's called conceal carry for a reason. You can't carry like this. And then what happens is a lot of these extended mags, they're not really reliable. The springs are kind of weak, the followers are kind of junky, and just shit gets jammed. And so I just don't recommend having these at all. This is just for demonstration purposes, range purposes only. I would never rely my life on something like this. Okay, now that you picked out your pistol, let's talk about holsters and how you're gonna carry it. I like to carry appendix, in my opinion. I don't like the whole 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock position, because in my opinion, the universal term for someone drawing a gun is reaching back here. You're not grabbing your wallet like that. Ugh! Okay, so figure out which way you want to carry your pistol, because that's gonna come with practice, and we'll talk about that later on in the video. But there's all different kinds of holsters. There's leather holsters, there's nylon holsters, there's Kydex holsters, so figure out what works best for you and the gun that you purchased. I really don't like nylon holsters, and the reason why is, so I like to carry this when I'm in like board shorts or at the beach. This is my Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. 5 shots, I'm kind of limited, but it is what it is. But when you do draw it, and like I said, I carry appendix, so when I do go to draw, the holster collapses. So I can't put it away super quick because it loses its gun shape. So a big turnoff for me when I'm carrying something like this. This is just like a rare event kind of holster. Now the holsters that I do carry on a daily basis, and the holsters that I recommend for you to go check out, is QVO Tactical. Their holsters are extremely reliable, extremely tactile. Listen to that snap. Look at that. Nice. Perfect retention, and you can actually adjust retention around the gun. So this is their wingman. This has a spare mag holder, just like this. So the point of concealed carry is it's concealment. You don't know it's there until you need it. I have QVO for majority of my holsters, and I highly recommend them. Roger is a super cool guy. You reach out to him on Instagram, he answers all your questions. Just a really good guy, really good products. You can't go wrong. Okay, next we're gonna talk about belts. Now, I carry certain guns depending on what I wear. I know a lot of people don't have that luxury. It's just a one gun kind of scenario. So that's a thing, that's another video on its own. But you wanna carry depending what you wear, the type of belt, things like that. So we're gonna talk about the belt. I like to wear like a 511 tactical belt. It's like 20 bucks at Academy Sports. The next belt I'm gonna get is a Nex belt. It's about 50 something dollars, but it's the ratchet belt. So it's something that you don't have to, like the ones I have is Velcro, and I don't like the Velcro. So I like the snap ones, and it's cool because it's super adjustable. So that's the next belt I'm looking at getting. I recommend you guys just do some YouTube video searches and see what a good EDC belt, everyday carry belt, is right for you, what catches your interest. Try a few. If you go to Academy, you can always return it. So now you picked out your pistol, you picked out your holster, you picked out your belt. One thing I highly recommend, go on YouTube and learn how to field strip that gun. By field strip, I mean make sure the magazine and the ammunition is clear from the gun. Make sure it's clear. learn how to take apart your gun without even looking at it. So we are completely field stripped. And the reason why I say that is a lot of people have guns that they either just keep on their person or keep at their house, and they look like this. They're full of lint, full of BS, and you want your gun to run reliable. If you take care of your gun, whenever you do need it, God forbid, your gun will take care of you if you maintain it properly. All right, now there's two companies that I like to use when it comes to proper PMCS, preventative maintenance checks and services, just maintenance on my pistols or all my guns in general, and that is Shooter Lube, TW25 Bravo by Milcom. This stuff is pretty fantastic. We use it on our M134 miniguns, and just one day we were kind of bored at the range. We started throwing shit at it to see what this grease could take. It took extreme punishment up to, I think it was like 500-degree temperature with dirt and everything, and that's what turned me on to put this on all of my guns. So I put it on my Staccato XC so it runs even more like glass. I mean, what gun that you know that you could do this? Can air rack it. Okay, one thing I do want to get out of the way is now that you purchase everything, that you learned how to take care of your gun, please read the fucking owner's manual. I know a lot of people don't read the owner's manual, but there are a lot of people that get guns fresh out of the box and go directly to the range. Their gun starts malfunctioning, having stovepipes, failure to feed, failure to fire, and if you just read a few pages in your manual, it'll tell you weapon needs to be clean and lubed before use. So please read your manuals. I don't care who the manufacturer is, how reliable it is, what your cousin's brother, aunt, nephew told you. Clean and lube your gun before you shoot it. So, but all jokes aside, the number one thing that I really want to convey into you guys that's the most important as a responsible gun owner, especially if you have children, is proper storage of your firearm. Now, if you don't have any money for a Sherlock Security safe, don't worry, I got you covered. You can hit up Sherlock Security and you actually get one of these lock boxes right here. Just drop your pistol in, put your code in, lock it, and you're good to go. Put this up high up in a closet, wherever. The one thing that I just want to preface so much is proper storage of your firearms. Now, I do have a 7-year-old child that does roam around the house, so I do not keep any firearms laying around the house. If something were to happen, I come downstairs. Now, I am in my office. Nothing of his is in here. Everything I have is locked up. I have a cipher lock on the front door, and everything is locked up in the safe. There's not a single thing that he can grab, minus the old trusty Red Ryder BB gun. I trained my son since he was old enough to hold a gun on proper firearm safety. So I did teach him how to shoot his first 22, the 22 that I was taught to shoot with for the first time. So that was a very humbling experience. But everything said there, there's no way he can get in this room. There's a cipher lock on the door and everything is locked up in the safe. There's nothing I leave left out at night. Everything is locked up, period. So please be responsible. Don't keep your guns loaded with one in the pipe under your bed, in your sock drawer, on your nightstand, because your children could find it. And that's probably the worst thing I could think about, is your child doing something horrifying because of your piss poor gun safety. So be responsible, please. Now that we talked about everything, you got your pistol, you got your holster, you got your belt, you know the 4 to 5 firearm rules of safety, let's go to the range. Okay, here we are at the range. Now, I know some of you guys are kind of intimidated by going to the range, your local ranges. I'm kind of fortunate and I have my own private range. So we have 4 targets. The top 2, the little ones, are TA targets, and the bottom C zones, or delta zones they'll look like, are just ones from Amazon. And remember guys, when you're out on the range, make sure you have your eyes and ears on at all times. So remember, like I said, always know your target and what's beyond it. We're on a slope hill right now. There's farmland in the back. It's gonna hit dirt before it hits the trees. But since you're just starting, you don't wanna shoot AR-500 steel. It's very self-gratifying, but to get your shot on target, I recommend shooting paper, but I don't shoot paper that often. I'm shooting AR-500 steel. So with practice and time, you will be able to do this. Yeah, I got him right in the mouth. All right, but with all jokes aside, here's what we're gonna do today. Make sure everything's clear. Clear. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna talk about, obviously, is your sight. You wanna get your sight picture. Now, basically what I mean is you have this circle up front and you're gonna have this valley back here. You want to align that circle in the middle of that valley and make sure your slide is completely flush. So it's gonna look gonna look like this. Okay, now that you got that down, let's talk about grip. Now, I'm a little bit more aggressive. Now I have dabbled in different ways. You've seen me shoot with my finger over to try to mitigate the recoil going up and down. That didn't work out for me. I'm gonna share what works best for me and then you guys could play along. So let's talk about the grip and then we'll get into stance. Okay, so you have the frame of the pistol. You want to get as high up on the pistol on this back strap as possible. So here's your slide. I get my hand extremely close. I am not afraid of getting bit. I got bit right there when I was helping my son shoot his little 9mm. But you want to get high up on that horse, and the reason why is to help mitigate recoil, right? So the gun goes up and down, it doesn't go left to right. So you want to get high, as close to the moving mass as possible, and the mass that is moving is the reciprocating slide. So basically you want to get this as high as you can. So hold it just nice and comfortable, get a nice good grip on it, get high, high, high on the back strap. Okay, next we're gonna be talking about your support hand. And the way I like to use my support hand is I take my fingers and I roll them around to my other side. I like to get extremely high on the gun. I like to almost ride the slide. Don't worry, it's not gonna cause malfunction if you ride the slide. I like to keep both my thumbs forward and grip the pistol like this. So this is what it looks like from the support side. This is what it looks like from the dominant side. Okay, also with the grip, as I'm holding onto this, a lot of people like to squeeze the gun and try to help mitigate the recoil, and what happens is, or you'll get those people that flinch, they do that, they'll flinch. They're just anticipating the shot. So basically what I like to do is, the way I like to hold it is, instead of fighting it up front or anything like that, I like to think about it as I'm holding a vise. So what that means is I grip it up front and I like to cinch my hands inward. So I have my left fighting my right and my right fighting my left, and I'm just cinching it in. So I'm holding it like this. So basically what that does is it keeps the gun as flat as possible while getting back on target as fast as you can. This is gonna take some practice, but this is what I like to use. Clear? Clear? So just make sure when you go get that nice purchase, you get that nice cinch on that gun. You don't want to lock your arms out all the way. You want to keep some bend in them. Now we're going to talk about stance. I like to use two different kind of stances depending on what I'm doing. I like to use kind of like a fighting boxer stance where your legs are bladed. So you're leaning forward, putting a little bit more weight on your front leg. Like I said, don't extend your arms all the way. Give a little bend and just squeeze. Boom. Boom. Also, there's another way, more of a squared off box stance. You'll see a lot of competitive shooters shoot like this. This is more comfortable for me. You just kind of like lurch forward just a little bit. You just hunch forward and get that gun on target. Boom. But this is all gonna come with practice. It comes with time and it comes with practice, and you'll be able to concealed carry appendix wise. I recommend you get we call it getting our reps in, and basically is you do like 10 to 20 reps of every single article of clothing that you wear at that time. I'm not saying wear 20 articles of clothing a day. I'm just saying, so I wore this shirt today, do my reps, and then you also have to learn to do your transitions of your reloads, things like that. Okay, so with everything that we learned today, let's see if we could shoot some steel. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is your breathing. So you're gonna hear me breathe. A lot of guys, if you watch videos of people shooting drills, you hear the exhale. So as soon as they draw, so it's kind of the same thing as when you're shooting a rifle. You just breathe normal, and then it's nice to just exhale and pull. Also, what I want to talk about is the placement of your trigger finger. Use the soft part of your finger. Do not grip it all the way around here, because that's going to cause the gun to go left and go right. Okay, so we implement everything that we just learned. We got one in the pipe. Get a good purchase on the gun. Cinch it down. Make sure you breathe. Good. Now we're not rushing. Take nice big breaths. Release off the trigger. Let's transition. That was it. You did good. All right, you shot great. So, but I don't overwhelm you. So other than that, I greatly appreciate you guys. Stop stopping by. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments down below or hit me up on my Instagram. The link will be in the description box down below. Just look me up. Guns with the Z and things and the letter N things. I appreciate it. See you guys in the next one. Peace.
It's modern segregation, this is setting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud.